Raji. Okay. MashaAllah. So you just went straight to the nusuk and did, okay. That was how. MashaAllah. There's a reason why I asked these two questions. So I get a feeling and understanding of what is your experience, what is your previous experience of being in Makkah and Medina, doing Umrah or Hajj, and then the service providers that they provide. According to that also I get a sense of, what things that you really need to know. So that's why I asked those questions, inshallah. A little bit about myself. I've been to Hajj, alhamdulillah, a few times. I've done Hajj, 7 or 8, I can't remember the exact numbers. I've done countless Umrahs, alhamdulillah, by the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and by His infinite blessings that He has given me the privilege to be in those holy places many times, alhamdulillah, in my life. I grew up in Mecca in my childhood for 6 years. I lived there in Mecca, al-Mukarramah. So, alhamdulillah, I love to help people out in Umrah and Hajj, since I have the experience of both aspects of Hajj, what they call it, the religious aspects and the logistical aspects of Hajj, and Umrah, of course. So these two are something that most Muslims, they don't get a chance to do. They don't have the privilege, or they just never have the time, the means to go for Hajj and to go for Umrah. And there are two occasions in my experience, in my lifetime, that I've seen people transform inwardly and outwardly. Two things, two occasions, two trainings. Of course, there's many others, but there are two that are very significant, that transforms people inwardly and outwardly. Inwardly, it means that a paradigm of seeing the world and seeing what Islam has to offer and the beauty of Islam and the practices and the rituals and things that are very subtle and we usually don't appreciate as Muslims what Islam has to offer. That kind of changes. So two occasions: i'tikaf, people who do i'tikaf in Ramadan, the last 10 days of the Sunnah i'tikaf, and Hajj and Umrah. Just visiting the Kaaba and visiting Medina. It actually transforms people. There are countless stories where people go there and they know all the answers to certain questions. They know all the academic research on it. They have heard tons of answers to their particular questions that they had, either their personal questions or questions that usually come up. And just being there, it kind of just solves the problem, right? Subhanallah. We could go on many stories and many reflections, but this is not the occasion for that. This is one to do step by step how to do Umrah and Hajj. But keeping that in mind, when you go for your Hajj, is not just fulfilling an obligation. It's not just fulfilling your Hajj fard. Or if you're doing Hajj Badal on behalf of someone, it's a transformation opportunity that Allah has blessed you. And you should keep that in mind and inshallah try to benefit as much as you can while you're fulfilling your obligations. And these obligations are, there's a reason why Allah made it an obligation, right? 5 times salat, we could have just one salat, we could have just maybe like Sunday or Friday we just do one salat, but there's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts these obligations upon us to keep us connected with Him. So the journey of Hajj and Umrah, or just being in Mecca and Medina, I usually like to term it as a journey of love. A journey of love. Like a person leaves everything behind, he leaves his family, his work, his school, whatever, leaves everything behind. Not only that leaves everything behind, but also takes off everything that is usually a means of a person's, outward looks, right? You know how a person wants to present himself, you wear good clothing. So even that, you are stripped off of that as well. And you're doing it only out of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're answering the call of his beloved Khalil, Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? When he was told to call the people. They will come. يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالٌ وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ, that they will come from all around the world. Even until the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that was not as common as you see today. مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ, from every small, little, big town in the world. You see people from all over. It's a multicultural kind of congregation that you would never see that anywhere else in the world. Subhanallah. This is this is a journey of love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you are as if you are leaving this world and going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are departing this world. It's a kind of like a practice for you, that when your time comes to meet your beloved, is that you'll be shrouded in 2 or 3 pieces of white cloth. And that's exactly what the men wear in their ihram. 2 pieces of cloth. That's how you're going to leave the world to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are going to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why the house? The house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resembles a certain level of a physical manifestation of expressing your love to God. Because God is above and beyond any human characteristics. God does not have a body. He doesn't exist in a place. And He is in no direction. Because He is nothing like any of His creation. But there has to be something in this world that we can connect to, because we are physically attracted species, that we like to, if we like something, we want to touch it, we want to feel it, we want to smell it, we want to see it, right? To be around it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with this manifestation in this world, that is the Kaaba. And when you go and you kiss or you say salams to the Hajar Aswad, the black stone, is a manifestation as if you are greeting God. Right? God does not have a hand, right? He does not have a feet, He doesn't have a body like His creation, but it's kind of like a manifestation of how would you connect with something that is related to you as a human being. So you want to be there, and that's the way how you show your love and your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a journey of love, the journey of your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and making sure that you are willing to transform yourself inwardly and outwardly. Like I mentioned in the beginning, for those who came later, we asked 2 questions. Number 1, have you done Umrah or Hajj before? And which group or organization are you going with? So anyone who would want to share, inshallah. Just for me to get a better idea. MashaAllah. Nice. Anyone else? Walaikum salam. MashaAllah. Anyone here second time or have been to Hajj or Umrah before? Just raise of hand. Okay. MashaAllah. Tayyib. We can move on, inshallah. So, inshallah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the performing of Umrah, because some of the things that we'll talk about in Umrah, it also goes into the Hajj, for example, the Tawaf and Sa'i and Ihram and all those things. So we will spend some time on the Umrah itself, because most of you might be, if not all, are performing Umrah and then Hajj after that. So you have to know how to perform Umrah. And then some of those things are going to be also mentioned again in Hajj, but very briefly, and inshallah we'll go through. Normally this is a 3-hour session, but we'll try to get as much as we can, inshallah, in these sessions. Preparation for Hajj, how you prepare yourself. So there are many things to do. You do a lot of things to prepare you for your Hajj. From a logistical aspect, you have done your spending hours and perhaps maybe days on your Nusuk app trying to get through all the procedure. Alhamdulillah, you are rewarded for each and every second that you spend on that, inshallah. But there are certain things to do right before you plan your trip. So number one is to make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ask for forgiveness. So you are cleaning and cleansing yourself before heading on this very special journey. Resolve any outstanding differences and seek forgiveness from other people. So anyone that... Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. So before you go, you want to ask forgiveness from people, from everyone. Make it general. And normally rule of thumb is that anyone that you know that you have harmed, or perhaps maybe people that you have harmed or you have any outstanding, even unknowingly, just ask forgiveness in general. Even if you are very specific about a certain thing, that is best not to bring it up, right? You don't have to say that. Unless if there is a very strong, reason for that grudge, right? So you want to resolve that first. But you want to, if you have done something to someone and that person doesn't remember or never realize that something happened, you just ask forgiveness in general, because you don't want to start digging up and opening up a can of worms. So it's best to just ask forgiveness from everyone. Say, forgive me for the sake of Allah, and I have forgiven all of you. The Prophet ﷺ gave a glad tidings for a person that he will be guaranteed Jannah, for a person who goes to sleep in the night, forgiving everyone, not leaving anything in his heart, grudge towards any other human being. So that's something that you do for others, and you want to ask others to forgive you. Number 3, pay off any debts. So these are like immediate debts that you have to pay off. For example, your credit card or the money that you took from someone you haven't paid back, and so on and so forth. Those short-term debts, you want to make sure you clear them. And for any long-term debts, what are you going to do? Is to create a will if you haven't done one. Try to have a will done before you go for Hajj. Like you sort out all of your assets, everyone that was going to be your heir, in your inheritance, your family members, make sure you put all of that together and make sure that you have that given to a person who's going to execute that, a next of kin. So that's important to do, because it's a journey of, like I mentioned in the beginning, it's a journey of resembling you leaving this world. So what would you do if you knew that you're going to die in a month or so? MashaAllah, we're going for Hajj in 2 weeks, right? What if you knew that you had just 2 weeks to live? What would you do? Put yourself in that state of mind, in that situation, and whatever comes to your mind, inshallah, that'll be the right thing to do. And one of the things will come that I want to make sure that I rate my will and have all of my assets taken care of. Halal source, it has to be, right? The Prophet ﷺ encouraged the believers to make sure that whatever they do and whatever they eat and whatever they have their intake in their body, it's halal and tayyib, right? Wholesome. Memorize some dua. This is a very important aspect. A lot of people go there and they say, what should I say now? Right? So try to memorize a few, 5, 10 du'as that you want to do it on a regular basis. But for Umrah and Hajj, in both, there's only one dua or one line that you have to memorize, because it's an obligation to say it at least once, which is Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, or Labbaik Umratan, or Labbaik Hajjatan, or Labbaik Umratan, ila akhiri. So Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka Labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata lak wal mulk la sharika lak. This one, everyone has to memorize it. And inshallah, if you're unable to, for whatever reason, during your Hajj you will hear it so many times that you will memorize it, inshallah. But it's good to have a certain number of du'as that you memorize them. If you're unable to memorize it in Arabic, you memorize it in English, memorize it in Urdu, memorize it in any other language. That's totally fine. Because sometimes spontaneously you want to make a dua and it just, sometimes you freeze. And it happens to people who know a lot of du'as. So if that happens, they say, I ask you, Allah, whatever all the pious people and all the prophets have asked from you. And I seek refuge from all the things that the Prophet ﷺ and all the prophets and all the pious people have seek refuge from. You can make it, very general also. So to memorize certain du'as, it becomes very handy. So inshallah, let's go to, we'll come to the summary inshallah. There are 4 things that you do in Umrah that are necessary, and if you miss out on either one of them, your Umrah is either unaccepted or incomplete. Is unaccepted or incomplete. So the first one is ihram. What is ihram? Ihram, it means to declare something unlawful upon oneself. Make it something that is lawful, you make it unlawful, right? To wear clothing is lawful. You make it unlawful upon yourself. Putting perfume, clipping nails, trimming the hair, and so on and so forth. Those things that are permissible and things that are actually desired, you make it unlawful, it becomes haram upon you. That's why it's called ihram, ha-ra-mim. It's to make something unlawful, harrama, right? So ihram, I am making things that are lawful, unlawful upon me. So a lot of people think that, ihram, it means the 2 pieces of cloth. That's the clothing or the cloth of ihram. It's not the ihram itself. So if you put that cloth on, you can still put perfume on, you can still trim your nails, you can still, do whatever that is permissible in general. But ihram, it means to have all of that prerequisites before you get in the state of ihram, and then you say the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, with the intention, right? So what do you do before the ihram? The things that you do before you say the talbiyah and you make the intention is that you take a shower. Now a lot of you are leaving from here, going to, having a transit, going to Medina. Some of you may be going to Medina. Anyone going to Medina first? Medina first? Medina first? MashaAllah, most of you going to Medina first. So you don't have to worry about anything of those. You will all do all of what I'm going to mention in Medina before you head, taking the train or the bus, before leaving the miqat. And for those who are going straight to Mecca, you will do that, do all of the things that I'm mentioning before you leave your home, because you won't have a chance to do any of these until you do your ihram. So what are the things that you're going to do? Take a shower. It's recommended to trim your nails, remove a hair, pubic hair. Apply perfume. Now, applying perfume, a lot of people say, oh, but isn't that not permissible in ihram? Before you made the intention, because ihram is what? Saying the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, and with the intention, that enters you in that state. So before that, you can put as much perfume as you want. Put on your clothes, put on your ihram, put on your body, trim nails, whatever. All of that is permissible until you say the talbiyah, and I will come to when is the appropriate way, appropriate time and place to say that. For male ihram, so there's differences of how you will have your clothing. For men is different than women. So the male ihram is preferred to have 2 pieces of cloth, preferred to be white. The Prophet ﷺ used to love white, and he even said, even bury your deceased in white clothing, shrouds. So you resemble them. But if someone wants to choose any other color, which is not common, you would never see someone in a different color than white. But if someone wants to wear a different color, it's totally fine, it's permissible. Like someone wants to wear black or blue, right? It's totally fine. Some people though will say, you would just get weird looks, so don't try it. I've seen people wear just to break out of the norm, why you have to wear, like it's necessary. So they just change that color, but anyway. Male should wear slippers, sandals, which expose the instep of the foot. So the top of the foot, that bone should be exposed as much as possible. As much as possible. You don't have to kind of, check every millimeter of your foot and see what is covered. If it's exposed mostly and you feel comfortable, you can wear those. these questions, they come up a lot, that which slippers, is this slippers okay, is that slippers okay? If you think it's okay, go for it. There's no hard, fast rule. As long as that bone is uncovered, for the most part, you should be fine. For women, however, they will wear regular clothing, abaya, scarf, regular shoes, socks. If you want to wear gloves, it's all permissible. The face cannot be covered. The face cannot be covered. And for men, the face and the head cannot be covered. Okay? So for female, the face cannot be covered. If they want to put something over, just to cover for whatever reason, you can use a baseball hat and put something over it. If you are covering it, it should not touch the face for women. It cannot touch the face. Now, if the question will come, well, if we're sleeping or in a blanket and things like that, or a sheet, or we want to cover ourselves, can we do that? Yes, you can. Just make sure as much as possible, as long as you're awake, try not to cover your head for the men and the face, and for the women, just the face. So, putting over, it will be, try not to do that, because it's not permissible for men and women to cover their face for almost a full day or a full night. So most of the day, that's what the scholars mention. For a little while, if someone fell asleep and they know that they covered their face for a half hour, let's say, or 15 minutes, or for a minute, it's totally fine. Don't worry. The covering, it has to exceed, most of the day. Then there's a penalty for that. So we won't go into penalties because it's very complicated. It's very specific. Every situation has a different penalty, and it varies, different penalties for different situations. So normally we don't go into that details because it just will take up hours to go through all of it. So we don't mention that. If anything happens, you can ask the scholar that is leading your group, or any scholar in your group, inshallah. The 2 rak'ahs of ihram. Now, once you have done all of that, you took a shower, you put on your 2 pieces of cloth, and for women, whatever clothing that you're going to wear during your Umrah or Hajj, you have done that. And now, for those who are going straight to Mecca, you will do the 2 rak'ahs. If possible, you could do it at home, or on the plane, or in transit, where you're going to have your connecting flight to Jeddah. Unless if you have a direct flight to Jeddah, you will do it before that. So before you have your flight, that is the final leg, the final destination is Jeddah, pray your 2 rak'ahs and you will do the above. For those who are going from Medina, you will do all of that in Medina. In your hotel, you could go even to Masjid al-Nabawi and pray those 2 rak'ahs over there. So you will pray 2 rak'ahs. It's called the 2 rak'ahs of ihram. Again, it's not necessary for your Umrah. If you haven't prayed 2 rak'ahs, don't worry. It's not a condition for your ihram nor for your Umrah. So you will pray those 2 rak'ahs, and you have to be in the state of ihram, of course. And then there's recommended to recite these 2 surahs, Surah Kafirun, Qul Wallahu Ahad. However, this is recommended for any 2 rak'ahs that you pray. The 2 rak'ahs of Fajr, the 2 rak'ahs of your Hajj ihram, the 2 rak'ahs of your Umrah ihram, the 2 rak'ahs after the tawaf, the 2 rak'ahs when you enter the masjid. It's recommended. These are 2 short surahs, Surah Kafirun, Qul Wallahu Ahad. You can recite any other surah, no problem. If you want to just do these 2 in every 2 rak'ahs, that's also fine. Ihram when should ihram be worn? So, I won't go into all the details of the miqat, but let's go to this chart. There are certain areas around the city of Mecca, not the Kaaba, the city of Mecca. These are different points that if anyone is coming beyond those points, they have to be in a state of ihram if they are intending to pass that to enter Mecca to perform Umrah or Hajj. So all of you are going for that same reason. So we will eliminate the other reasons. Since you are going for Hajj and Umrah, you cannot pass the miqat Yours is Yalamlam. It's closer to Jeddah. It's actually a little bit somewhere here in the map. So anytime you fly into Jeddah airport, you are going to pass the miqat. So you have to be in the state of ihram because what? You're either going for Hajj or for Umrah. The people who are coming, mashallah, a lot of you are coming from Medina. So Medina is up here somewhere, right? Here. Right outside of Medina, there is this miqat. It's called Abiyar Ali or Bir Ali, or the classical name is Dhul Hulayfa. That's right outside of the city of Medina currently. Before it used to be a little distance, and now it's like actually almost within the city of Medina. So if you take a train, it comes within 5 minutes, actually less than 5 minutes. So you get on a train, it's right there. If you're taking for most of you, you're going to be taking a train. But if you're taking a bus or any other vehicle, it takes about another half hour because you're leaving your hotel is going to take a while. So once you get on the train, normally the leader will say, okay, make your intentions because we're going to pass the miqat soon. On the plane, same thing, they will announce, we're going to pass the miqat, make your intentions, say the talbiyah. However, it's best to, if you're getting on the train, do it right away as soon as the train leaves the train station. That's what I usually recommend. Don't do it before that because if there's a delay and you have to stay back for whatever reason, or if there's a delay in the flight, to do it way before you get on the plane, right? You're stuck for a couple hours. For whatever the plane, the flight was canceled. They put it on the next flight. So you have those 7-8 hours again to wait in a state of ihram, so it becomes a little difficult. So it's best to do the intention and talbiyah, to get in the state of ihram when everything is certain, inshallah. Nothing is certain in this world, but at least, you're on your way to Mecca, inshallah. So to make that intention. So again, how do you enter in the state of ihram? 2 things. What is it? I want you to memorize these things. These are very small, few things that you should know. You should know by heart. Niyyah and intention. Niyyah and talbiyah. Intention and talbiyah. They have to be coupled. So if someone was thinking about, burgers or whatever, and he says, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, that will not count. But if someone made the intention and did not say, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, I want to go for Hajj, inshallah, may Allah accept from me, and just sat there and went through the whole procedure, he hasn't entered in the state of ihram. So there has to be coupled, the intention and the talbiyah. So 2 things are important to enter into the state of ihram. So those are the 2. Here you go. The 2 things equals to ihram. Now, you could say that in Arabic if you want to, Allahumma inni uridu al-umrata fayassirhuma li wa taqabbalha minni. That's a dua that you could say in your own words. You can change those words if you know Arabic. If you want to say something else in Arabic, that's fine. If you want to say in English or Urdu or any other language, go for it. You don't have to say it in Arabic. But however, I will recommend 2 things whenever you intend anything that you do in this trip and also in your life. Anytime you make dua or you make intention or you want to do something or you intend to do something, do 2 things. Ask for 2 things. Ask Allah for 2 things. These 2 things. These 2. What is it? Oh Allah, I intend to do Umrah. Oh Allah, make it easy for me and accept from me. Oh Allah, make it easy for me and accept from me. Oh Allah, make it easy for me and accept from me. Oh Allah, I'm intending to make tawaf. Make it easy for me and accept from me. Because if it's easy to do it and also accepted, the best of the 2 worlds. So it's a very small, simple, but very profound dua to make for anything that you do in this journey and also in your lifetime. If you don't have time, you have like 5 seconds to make a dua. Oh Allah, accept from me, make it easy for me. Ya Allah. Done. So there's nothing better than these 2 things to have in anything that you do. Now that's talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika lak labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata lak wal mulk la sharika lak. What is that? It's a declaration of, oh Allah, I'm here for you. I'm on this journey only for you. I'm coming to you. I want to be there for you. So that's what the talbiyah is. That's the manifestation, and you are declaring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your Lord, and you're praising Him, and so on and so forth. So that's mandatory. You have to memorize this. If you haven't memorized it, you have to memorize. This is the only dua or the saying, things that you will utter in your Hajj and Umrah that is actually necessary. Anything other than that is either highly recommended or recommended. Okay? For the talbiyah, men will say it out loud, women will say it in their low voice. Sometimes they say in a group, that's fine. If you want to say it on your own, that's fine. However, a lot of times I see that people, they say the talbiyah once and they think that's it. It's a misconception. Where was that slide? Anyway, I think it's coming up. Yeah, this is it. When a person says the talbiyah, everything around him, everything is going to be a witness for your talbiyah, saying your talbiyah. It's listening. Because even inanimate objects, they have a certain level of living, right? Allah says in Surah Al-A'la that we have created everything and we have given it خَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَهَدَى, and gave a certain level of guidance. So even stones and rocks and those kind of objects, they also are going to be a witness for you on the Day of Judgment, inshaAllah, for your reciting of talbiyah. They hear it. So you should recite talbiyah as much as possible, right? It's like when you go in a rally, what do? Like you say words that actually don't have, in general, they don't have a very significant meaning to it. Hey, hey, ho, ho, right? It doesn't have any significant meaning, but it's a thing that keeps you motivated. It keeps you energetic. So talbiyah is like that. It's like your electrolytes, your spiritual electrolytes that will keep you, like even if you're feeling very tired, especially a long journey until you get to Makkah, you're feeling very tired. Talbiyah, when you say the talbiyah, it just gives you that energy. Even physical energy, mashallah. It's amazing. So women will recite it quietly. So what are the things that are forbidden? Of course, sinning is forbidden anyway, but in Hajj is even more significantly forbidden. Foul language, fighting, and that's something that it gets people, even the best of people that they're usually they never get angry. It gets them sometimes. So one of the things that are always, and you will hear this a lot during the trip, patience, patience. It's a journey of patience, at how to be patient. Not that someone is running over you and you're just patient because I'm in ihram. No, you have to sometimes fight for your rights. If something has gone wrong and someone is trying to kind of, run over you, no, you have to speak up for your right, but be civil, don't go overboard. But in general, if someone just bumped into you or pushed you, especially those who are going for the first time, a lot of times I forget to mention this, and people I regret actually not telling them this, that when you first go into Makkah, mashallah, you go into Medina, it's a little different, but especially in Makkah, especially in Tawaf, it's not America. It's not a line in your at your burger store or whatever, or at the airlines. People are going to be pushing you. You're going to be pushed around. Stepped on, and so on and so forth. People walk over your toes and stuff like that is going to happen. And for the first timers, it's like a shock. They're on this high spiritual note, and someone is pushing them, and they're like, "What is this? Like, where am I? I'm in the front of the Kaaba and people have no respect." It's a very crowded place. People don't do that intentionally. It's just that everybody's energetic like yourself. And everybody wants to, mashallah, let's run maybe, let's go faster. Some people are walking slow, it's a combination of different type of people from all over the world. Different habits, different cultures. Some people are more aggressive in how they do walk and how they do tawaf, and some people are very, they just want to be on the side and not touched and not pushed or anything. Some people they're just used to that. So there's all types of people, and this would come as a shock to you in the beginning, but you have to kind of think about it before you go, that I will be pushed, I will be stepped on, I will be, sometimes people will say, you know, especially the guards, that's the most painful one. I still don't understand why they still do it, but they, Yalla Haji. And sometimes when people are not listening, they just get so aggressive. They push people sometimes if they're not listening. Because, you know, they're speaking Arabic, and most people don't know Arabic, and they don't know what they're saying, and then they get frustrated, and they get angry, and they push people sometimes. So, just leave it. Let it go. You know, forgive the person for the sake of Allah. Don't hold grudges. Mashallah, they're trying to do their job. But this is a big, fair warning. It's going to happen. So just be patient. Inshallah, you will overcome that. And in your maybe next round of your tawaf, or even the next time you do tawaf for your hajj, everything will just feel normal. No. So there are a few things that are impermissible during your ihram. In the state of ihram, so intimacy with one's spouse, it would not be permissible. Even indication of intimacy would not be permissible. So both are impermissible. Wearing day-to-day clothing for men, regular clothing. So anything that qualifies for normal clothing, whether it's a thobe or a shirt or a t-shirt, even underwear, undergarment, it's all comes in under the category of clothing. So that's not permissible for men. For females, it is obviously permissible. Using perfume and fragrance. This is the most complicated prohibition because it's not limited to time. It's limited to, you know, even a little touch of fragrance, you know, or perfume or any itar or anything like that. There's a penalty, right? As soon as you touched it, and it's very common. Why? Because it's very hard to not get into that state, because you have perfume, you have fragrance, soaps, lotions, and so on and so forth. You can get all of that unscented, even sunscreen, unscented, lotions, unscented, soaps and shampoos and all of those things, you can get it. And if you're in a state of ihram, if you want to take a shower, if you want to use soap, you can. It has to be unscented. Now there's a small, I will come to your hand. There's the perfume itself, and that's even a small amount, there's a penalty. And then there's scented stuff that are not perfume, they're not used as perfume, but they have a good aroma to it, like soaps and lotions and other things. So that has a kind of a minor penalty. If anything that happens, just ask your scholar, because it's a little complicated. I don't want to get into it because there's going to be the rest of the session is just going to be on that. I don't want to have your focus all on that issue. But try to avoid, anytime you use a soap, lotion in the bathroom or in shower, just make sure it's unscented. You can smell it. It's fine. You can smell scent. There's no prohibition in that. So you can smell. If there's nothing, use it. After that, if you felt there is some maybe scent in it, don't doubt yourself. Your first judgment is the best judgment. Khalas. Even after that, if you felt there is scent, just neglect that. Yeah, don't overthink this issue. Yes. Yes. Yes, so there are few places that you have to avoid at all costs if you're in a state of ihram. Nowadays it's very hard to get to the Kaaba, so you most probably won't be near the Kaaba, but anytime you are near the Kaaba and you want to touch it, 99% that it's heavily perfumed. They put this atar on it, they actually pour on it. And especially the Hajar Aswad, they put the perfume on it every salat. Before every salat, they rub it with oud or some kind of atar that they have. So just Rukn Yamani is one of the places that usually people go and touch. We'll talk about that. So you have to avoid those places. And the second would be whenever you use the bathroom. Those two places are the most common, where you will actually maybe unintentionally you might touch or touch anything that has fragrance in it. Perfume. Okay. Removal of body hair, not permissible. So any part of the body, you should not remove the head to toe, right? If you scratch one hair, one or two hair fell off, that's fine, no problem. But to clip them and trim them will be clipping the nails, wearing footwear that covers the whole body like a boot, unless if you're injured and you need to wear a specific boot, that's fine. For whatever reason, if you have to wear something on your head because for whatever reason, for any medical reasons, you can do any of these prohibitions if you have to, right? There's no harm in that. Okay, so we already talked about covering the head and the face for men, and the face for women is not permissible. And what else? The hunting would not be permissible. The killing lice, killing any insects in the haram, in the boundary of haram. Oh, I was going to mention the miqat. Back to the miqat. Let's go back to, because it's an important thing to discuss. So there are two types of boundaries. One is this that we talked about earlier. It's called the miqat, mawaqit. So anytime a person wants to come from outside, from anywhere else in the world, passing anywhere from one of these places and intending to go to Mecca, he has to be in a state of ihram. And then there's another boundary that goes around the city of Mecca. Let's say the Kaaba, what we see here is the city of Mecca. This part is called the haram. What is it called? Haram. Haram boundary is different than the boundary of miqat. Okay? So let's say someone is somewhere here. Where does he put the ihram on? Anywhere here. Now, inside the haram, that's the sacred place. That whole area, the whole boundary, they have like signs where it says the boundary of the haram, the boundary of the haram. It extends all the way in south to right before Arafat. So Mina, Muzdalifah, all of that is included in the haram. All the way back to Masjid Aisha, going towards north to Medina. So all of that is the haram. It's a sacred place. So you cannot hunt in the haram, in a sacred place. However, if you are in a state of ihram, then you cannot hunt wherever you are. So the reason why you want to know the boundaries of the haram is because, for instance, if I want to do another umrah while I'm in Mecca, where do I go? Do I go to the miqat or do I go to the boundary of the haram? The boundary of the haram. You don't have to go back to the miqat. The miqat is far. The closest one is the Jeddah one, roughly, because the Taif one is also almost the same distance. Taif, and there's one close to Jeddah, Yalamam. Those two are, there's actually a closest one, which is, forgetting the name, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, it will come to. But it's not too far, it's actually much closer. Sayyid Kabir? It has another name. Anyhow, that's one of the miqats as well. Masjid Aisha it's right outside of the boundary of the haram, of the haram boundary. Because a lot of times you hear haram. And normally what they mean, when they say I'm going to the haram, what does that mean? Anyone over there when they say I'm going to the haram or want to go to the haram? Oh, where is the haram? The Masjid al-Haram, the masjid itself. But the actual definition of haram is the boundary of the whole city of Mecca, which extends pretty far, even outside all the way to, like I mentioned, to Arafat. Okay. Okay. All the things permissible, right? A lot of times a question comes from men. Can I wear something that has stitches in it? Something that has stitches. So, he says no, right? This question comes up a lot. It is permissible. Anything that has stitches is permissible. What did I say in the beginning? What is not permissible to wear? What is the definition of the impermissibility of wearing? It has to clothing. Anything that resembles regular clothing that normally people wear. So a belt that you're going to use for your waist, the waist belt, it has stitches in it for the most part. Most of them, right? Your backpack has stitches in it. So anything that has stitches is permissible. Not necessarily. Anything that resembles regular clothing, that will be impermissible. So a t-shirt will be impermissible. But someone wants to wear one ihram and is feeling cold, wants to wear another ihram, or just has a blanket, wants to put that over, is that permissible? Yes. Blanket that has stitches in it. Sandals have stitches, fine. To wear a belt, to wear, anything, a brace of any type, it's fine. Not clothing, because it's not regular clothing. Normally people don't wear a brace. So anything that is not clothing, that doesn't fall into regular clothing, normal clothing, permissible to wear. Like even if someone wants to take their ihram and wrap it around on their upper body like a shirt, still permissible. It's still okay. Yeah. For men. It's permissible if you need to wear a mask. And those things will come. I think it's not here, I guess. But yeah, wearing a mask, anything that you need to do for medical reasons or for any other, need. For need, you can wear a mask. You can wear sunglasses. You can use an umbrella for the men to cover from the sun to get shade. Permissible. And what is it permissible to kill if it's something that is harmful, like scorpions, snakes, etc., mosquitoes? Okay, is all good? Yes. Using unscented soap, however, it is preferable not to remove dirt. One thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves about the person in the state of ihram, that he looks tired, he looks like he's traveled and there's dust and there's dirt on his body. It shows that you have put a lot of effort into this journey, and then you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with dirt and dust on you and tiredness and hair has grown. Back in the day, that's how the actual Hajj was like. Now you don't even feel it, in and out, and wow, it's like amazing. In Arafat you have air conditioning, and even Muzdalifah they have a good now setup where you can get a good sleep. Before it was like, it would take several days just to get to Mecca, right, to Jeddah. And then they have to stay in Jeddah in the ihram for many days, and then they get to Mecca. People, they come back unrecognized. Like you cannot recognize the person who comes back from that kind of Hajj. They've changed, inwardly and outwardly. Like they have lost a lot of weight, the color has changed because they were in the sun for so many days. And that's why when they came back, they were a different person, subhanAllah. But so that's why it's mentioned that if you don't have to, and it makes you feel very uncomfortable, and you want to take a shower, you want to use soap to clean yourself, fine. But it's best is recommended not to keep yourself a little dirty. That's fine, right? Because that's what there's a hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, an ihram that is, there's a sign of like struggle in it. There's a sign of putting some effort in it and some love in it. Yes. Toothpaste is okay, according to most scholars. It's okay. Yeah. Yes. It's best to take another pair of ihram if you can. But it's not necessary. You can still wear the same ihram, even if it's real dirty, it's fine. Everybody's going to look the same after Muzdalifah or after Arafat. Yeah, unscented is fine. You can always get unscented. And yeah, anything that does not resemble perfume, that's fine. If it has its own smell, that's fine. So how do you define scent? If you Google it, is mint scent? Is flavor, like orange or lemon flavor, is that a scent? No. So if it has those flavors in it, flavor is different than a scent. So that's where you differentiate the two. And that's why what applies 2 cent, certain things that is kind of unknown. If it's unknown, if you don't know, then just avoid that. Like you eat fruits, you eat all kinds of other things, that's fine in haram. Permissible to have injection, band-aid, and all those things, so that's all permissible. Can someone keep track of the time, because I'm really bad at we're already 1 hour in. Okay, so now you see the 4 red writing. That's the 4 things that it is necessary for your ihram. So I say 2 obligated acts or compulsory acts, and 2 necessary acts. Compulsory, obligated. 2 obligated and 2 necessary. Okay, they both mean the same, but it has a technical difference. That the first 2 ihram you already done. You have already done that, and then the tawaf. These 2 are farz. So if you miss out on one of these 2, your umrah is not accepted at all. Now the other 2 is also important. It's necessary. The sa'i and trimming. No, you already made the intention. So we already made the intention that we're going to perform umrah, and these are the 4 things that you're doing for your umrah. So you already done the first, which is ihram, your intention and talbiyah, and the second, now you're going to do tawaf, and then after that sa'i, and then trimming or shaving. Those 2 are wajib. So if someone did not do sa'i and just went and trimmed their hair, they have to, give a penalty, but their umrah will still be valid. All right. So when you enter Makkah, you should be humbled. You shouldn't, because now there's a lot of glamour going on. It's very interesting to see the place for the first time. There's a lot to see. It's like very interesting structures all around the building itself, where you're going to stay in your hotel, the clock tower, and all of that. And I always tell people, doing your tawaf in particular, just look straight ahead of you, because you're gonna say, "Oh, wow, what is that? Whoa, what is written on that?" And there's a lot of distraction. So just keep focused. You just have to show humbleness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a sightseeing trip, right? You can do that after tawaf. So after your tawaf, before the sa'i, a lot of times when I go with a group, I just kind of give them a little heads up of what's around, what's the Kaaba, and all the other things. There's some other details around. That's fine. But during your entrance into the haram, seeing the Kaaba for the first time, that's the time when you want to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you will do all of these things. You'll be told what to do when you get there. Your group leader will handle all of that. Inshallah, you'll be in good hands. Now you enter into the Masjid al-Haram, right? You're ready to do your. One thing that is important to keep in mind, that sometimes for the first timers it becomes a little something that they forget. When you get to Makkah, whether you're coming from Jeddah or you're coming from Medina, when you get to Jeddah, when you're check into your hotel, the first thing that you really want to just keep in mind and make sure that you are going to make wudu if you don't have one, or even if you want, you can take a shower. Because now the tawaf that you're going to do, you have to be in a state of wudu. You cannot make tawaf without wudu. So make sure that you make a wudu or you take a shower if you want to. If you're feeling like really that you want to freshen up, just to feel better, you want to take a shower, you can take a shower. No, your ghusl, yes. Your ghusl will wash the 4 parts of the body that is necessary to do in wudu. So you cover that. So one of the things that you will do when you enter the Masjid al-Haram is to make dua when you see the Kaaba for the first time, because that's a very special moment. It's a very emotional moment. It's nothing like anything in this world. When you enter the Haram, a lot of people, they say that, you just keep your gaze down. You want to find a place where, you're not in the way of other people. It's best to just go right in the mataf. The mataf is the place that you go around the Kaaba, the courtyard of the Haram. You want to be in a place where you're not bothering other people. Because a lot of people, they just come and stand in the middle of everything. People are walking and you're standing there making dua. It's not good. The Prophet ﷺ said that أَعْطِ الطَّرِيقَ حَقًّا, that the people are walking on the path where people are walking, that's their right. and you should not obstruct. You should not bother people. You should not be a burden on anyone. So you find a place where you're not going to bother anyone, nobody's going to bother you, right? Find a place where it's comfortable. A lot of times you can enter and go right on the side all the way to the back of the mataf, where people are usually praying or just sitting. You can go there and actually make dua, and you can stand there for as much as you can. But if you're with a group, the group will just make a very quick stop and start the tawaf. Just because it's a large group and it's hard to put everybody in one place for a long time. But to make that dua, if you can remember or if you can memorize the dua, it's a very interesting dua to say when you see the Kaaba for the first time, right? So if you want to recite that, you can say that. So this is the mataf. It looks a little very different. This is a very old picture. This is like my childhood. So this whole thing is the mataf, right? So anywhere in the back, it's usually you see people that are just sitting there. It's a place where people just sit and pray or just gaze at the Kaaba. And this place is usually a very busy place. During Hajj, it's going to be all busy. So you will find maybe a place all the way in the back if you want to spend some time by yourself. It's a very good opportunity. It's just amazing to just sit and see the Kaaba and just look at the Kaaba. And this is one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards the person just seeing the Kaaba and not doing anything. Just looking at the Kaaba, you're rewarded for that. So it's a very special moment. The Kaaba has different corners and different aspects to it. This hatim is part of the Kaaba. It's usually not open, especially in Hajj. I doubt that it will be open for you to go inside. But this is actually inside the Kaaba. If you go in there, you actually have entered in the Kaaba. It's just that it has a small wall, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept it like that for people now to enter into the Kaaba. Then it has these different corners. There's no green line, nothing like that. It's just a straight, you just come and you start. Maqam Ibrahim is right after these two. So the black stone and the door of the Kaaba, right across is the Maqam Ibrahim, the footprint of our father Ibrahim alayhi salam. And that's where usually people pray behind it all the way to the back. So you will start at this place, and let's go to the, I'm going to skip a lot because this, here we go. So when you enter Masjid al-Haram and you entered and you made your dua, now you are going to do a few things. For men, you are going to take your ihram that you were wearing on top, and you will take the right side and put it under your armpit and fold it over on your left shoulder. That's called irtiba'. Irtiba'. You don't have to remember the name, but that's the action. And then two is that this is for everyone, that you will try to face. If you cannot, don't try. If there's a lot of people, don't try. Facing towards the Kaaba and saying Allahu Akbar with the intention that I am making this tawaf for my umrah, or I'm making this tawaf later on. If you're doing your tawaf for the Hajj, you say I'm doing my tawaf for Hajj. So anytime whatever tawaf that you're making, you make that intention and you say Allahu Akbar, just like you're making salat Allahu Akbar. So that's one time raising the hand, and then there's a second time when you raise your hand. That's called istilam. Istilam is from salam, greeting. So you're greeting the Hajar Aswad, and this time when you raise your hand as if you're touching the Hajar Aswad. 99.9% that you're not going to be touching the Kaaba. Even if you could, you shouldn't. Why? It has a lot of perfume on it. So you just, as if you are touching the Kaaba, just assume that if you were in front of the Hajar Aswad, the black stone, you were touching it. You just make that gesture and you kiss your hands and you start. So the ittiba', right? The ihram part for men, and then facing toward the Kaaba if possible, and saying Allahu Akbar with the intention of making the tawaf for your umrah, and then doing istilam. Those are the things that you would do in the beginning of your tawaf, and then you go around. So you're starting from the black stone all around one. That's one, and then around 2, 3, all the way until you finish 7. 7 times around the Kaaba is your obligation to do. Now there's one more thing for the men to do. Which is, it's called the ramal. And that's why he did the ittiba. Ramal, it means that you walk a little faster. If it's crowded, then don't bother. Just walk normal. If it's not crowded, then you can easily walk a little faster, a little aggressively. It means aggressively walking. Like you're not just walking like humble the way how you enter the haram. Here you walk a little aggressively, like the soldiers, But if it's crowded, then don't do that because you're gonna be stepping on someone else. You just because you want to, and you will feel people. Some people they are still doing it and they're pushing it. So be patient. There was a question? All good?
Walking aggressively is in between certain areas, right? Not the whole.
Very good question. You would do that only in the first 3. 1, 2, 3. And after that, you walk normal. Yeah, the 3 rounds. Tawaf is 7 times around the Kaaba. This is a good point to remember. Always remember. You start Tawaf, it has to be 7 times around the Kaaba. 7 circles. It's called a Tawaf. A Tawaf is not just going around the Kaaba once. So when we say, I did 1 Tawaf, it means you did 7 times around the Kaaba. So if someone said, okay, I want to do Tawaf, and did 3, okay, that's all I can do. I'll call it a day. No, you can't do that. You have to finish it. It's like praying 2 rakats. You can't say, I'm praying 1 rakat and I'll just quit. You finish the 2 rakats. So you do all 7. And also another important thing to remember that after every tawaf that you do, regardless of tawaf for the Umrah, tawaf for Hajj, just a regular tawaf that you're doing, there's always going to be 2 rakats after the tawaf. You can walk anywhere around the Kaaba, but you cannot enter the Hatim because of what we said, that Hatim is part of the Kaaba, so you can't cut through. I have done tawaf, in the shortest tawaf that I've ever done, that was between Hajj and Umrah season many years ago. It took me 13 minutes. It was just before Dhuhr Salah, like an hour before Dhuhr Salah, nobody there. Just done. Prayed 2 rakat and it was Dhuhr. They called the Adhan, we prayed Dhuhr. It was a very unique experience. I had a picture of myself, the whole mataf behind me until the Kaaba was all empty. So it's very, those who came with me in the Umrah for this trip last month, it was close to that, but it was not but it was very less people in the mataf. It was not very crowded. But when you guys go, it's going to be very crowded all the time. And it's crowded all year round. It's just that that time they don't let anybody enter into Makkah, even if you live somewhere nearby, no matter what. You cannot enter Makkah if you don't have a Hajj permit or you don't live there or you don't work there. So that's why the traffic just disappears. Everybody who was there for Umrah, they're already gone. People, the Hajjis haven't been there. So if you get a chance to ever, get that window, mashallah, try for it. Mashallah. It is dislike to eat, drink, talk, or do anything that you would do just like your salah. That's something important to remember. Sometimes people are just talking on their phone and doing their thing. You're doing tawaf. It's like praying. It's like your salah. On Facebook, on social media. If you want to do any of those, take a break if you have to. Like an emergency call, something that you have to do. Take a break. Stop. Go and do your thing and then come back and resume. But during your tawaf, you should not do those things. It's like praying. Except the only difference between the salat and your tawaf is that during tawaf you're walking, and during salat you're standing still. Right? And you're not facing the Kaaba because you're by the Kaaba. Right? Isn't that amazing? All your life you prayed towards the Kaaba and now you're right there. Yes? No. for any reason, that's why for any reason you had to stop, you take a break, you have to use the bathroom, your wudu was not there anymore, you stop, go and do your wudu, use the bathroom, whatever you need to do, you come back and you start exactly where you stopped. If you don't know exactly where you started, look for the place before that. If you don't know for a certainty, start from the black stone and consider whatever you did after that was not, like for example, you know for a fact that you did 2 and something plus, right? So you consider 2 and you start from the black stone again. Drink Zamzam after. You finish your tawaf. So it's the Prophet ﷺ, he drank Zamzam after he completed his tawaf, and he drank a lot. However, I do not recommend drinking a lot because you have sa'i after that. And back in the day, you had to drink a lot. I remember drinking, like, my record was I think 14 cups after that tawaf. It was midday, 110, I don't know what degrees was it, but I remember I was like a tomato when I came back. I was so hot and I was like, my whole ihram was wet, and I don't know why I made that mistake going at that time. But I was so done that I had to keep on drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, and I drank about like 14 cups of Zamzam. You get really dehydrated if you're not paying attention. So that's one thing, right, Dr. Zahra? You have to be hydrated throughout the trip. Make sure you take electrolytes and all of that. Inshallah, you'll be, take extra if you want to. Take extra for others if you need to. But stay hydrated. That's very, very important. You can pass out. Even very healthy people can pass out, with dehydration. Especially now, it's in like peak season, peak heat. But still, people do tawaf in midday. So, because the floor is like cool, it's very cool. You don't feel it in your feet. But the sun, when it hits your head, it gets you. It gets you after the tawaf, when you get home and you're taking a shower and you feel it on your head. So it's not a very pleasant. Anyhow, drink Zamzam after tawaf. That's what the Prophet ﷺ drank. Okay, we already went over all of that. That's Rukn Yamani. That's the corner before Hajar Aswad. We already did that. Sa'i. Okay, let's go to Sa'i. What is Sa'i? It's going 7 times between Safa and Marwa, or Marwa to Safa. So from Safa to Marwa is 1. From Marwa to Safa is 2. Safa to Marwa, 3rd, back and forth. Each time you go from one to the other, it counts as 1. It counts as 1. Because some people think that back and forth is 1. No. 1, 2. So you start at Safa, where everybody's going to start, and where you will end on the opposite side, Marwa. Right? What does Safa look like? So that Safa, it's right across from the black stone. So you would see the green light as you're going up the ramp or whatever route you're taking. There's like 5 levels. There's the roof all the way to the basement. So as you're going up, you might see the Kaaba, and also at the Safa here you will also see the Kaaba. You have to know where to stand. There's a particular place where you would see the Kaaba. Other places you don't see the Kaaba. So there's a 9th istilam. Istilam as you're touching the Kaaba. That's for your sa'i. If you are able to, you don't have to. There's 8 in tawaf, 1 in the beginning, and then 1 after each 7. That's 7 and 8. And then there's a 9th one that before sa'i, since you are right across from the black stone. So you do the istilam, and then you start the sa'i from Safa all the way to Marwa. This is very different than, this is like 20 years old. Anyhow, when they just started the construction. That's the Mas'a. Okay, now you come to Safa, you say Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. That you would say also in your tawaf when you're doing the istilam, etc. Um, so you would also make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will see a lot of people standing there making dua facing towards the qibla. If you are able to, you can do that, and you try your best. Again, make sure that you're not bothering others, you're not in the way of others, you're not blocking, because that's where people are coming and making that circle going back to Marwa. So a lot of people kind of stand right there in the middle of the crowd and trying to hold the whole crowd back just to make dua because they want to face towards the qibla. That's not right. However, if you find a place all the way to, let me see. So this is one of the major pillars at Safa, at the Mount Safa. There's a glass, and then there's the actual mountain rocks that you will see them. If you will come up the ramp and go all the way. There's a spot all the way in the back over here, or even further behind. This area is actually not in the way of other people. If you get as close as to the glass wall, over there you can actually face towards the qibla, and you're not in the way of anyone. So if you get a chance, that's the best place that, in my experience, where to make dua. Sometimes you find a space all the way to the front. You will see people actually going up there and making dua, where you can actually see the Kaaba very easily. So those two places are easily. But the reason why you don't want to go up there, that I don't recommend, because then sometimes getting back is difficult. So you're already in the flow. You're just going up, 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 up. Once you get there, you just merge into that corner. If you get a couple seconds of dua facing towards the qibla, or you can see the Kaaba and making dua, that's good enough. And then you continue. It's the easiest way to do it. And that's your Marwa. This is, I believe, the basement. In the upper levels, they don't have that. After completing your sa'i, what you will do 2 rak'ats. But what's before that? What's between your running, between the... let's see if we have that. So, from Safa you started, right? The Hajar Aswad is right there. You started, and you will see a green light, lines on the ceiling. That indicates Mirin Akhdarin. It means that's where Hajar alayhi salam, the mother of Ismail, ran, right? So we are running. Yeah. So we are running. So we run in her footsteps. So it's recommended for men to only run, not for women. Women will just walk. And if you are with your family member, male family member, they will run and then easily catch up when, they will walk a little slow and they will catch up later on. And same thing on the way back from Marwa to Safa, the men will run, women will just walk and they will catch up later on. There's a dua that you say between running or between the green lines that you will say, رَبِّ اغْفِرْ وَارْحَمْ وَتَجَاوَزْ عَمَّا تَعْلَمْ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْأَكْرَمُ. Or رَبِّ اغْفِرْ وَارْحَمْ. You can just say, oh Allah, forgive me and have mercy upon me. If you remember that. Again, there is no dua that is required, that is obligation, except for talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. That's it. So if you forget, what dua? I missed the dua. Don't worry. Inshallah, you'll be okay. But not okay meaning that, okay, I don't care. I want to try. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning, try to memorize a few du'as. Especially the du'as that they come up. Can someone hand me that bag? There's a bag, it has some books in it. Can one of the brothers? I have a bad leg, that's why
I know.
my mobility is a little restricted. Thank you. So those who are going with Darussalam and other, I'm sure Adam Travels and others have this similar. So to have something like this is very good. It's very handy, even for good experience people who go for Umrah. Something like this. It's a small pamphlet. You can have it on your phone, but to have something like this is very good. Just read it every day from now. You have 10 days or 11 days, whatever days, 15 days. 15 times reading it, inshallah, hopefully if you don't remember all of them, you remember some of them. So it has all the major du'as in it. It says, رَبَّنَا أَتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا, that's what you're going to say between the Rukn Yamani and the black stone. إِنَّ الصَّفَا وَالْمَرْوَةَ مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ, when you are starting your sa'i. And then it has your intention, and so on and so forth. And then when you visit Medina, we'll see if you have time to get to that. So something like this is very good, inshallah. I have some other materials that I will share with you. All right, so we'll come to shaving the hair, shaving and trimming. For men and women, to trim the hair of the head, one third of the index finger. That's minimum. Now, I'm not saying all the hair of the head or 1/3 or 1/4. There are differences of opinion. Like, for example, in the Shafi'i school, just a few hair and you trim it, it's okay. In the Hanafi school, most, if not all, or at least the bare minimum would be 1/4. So it's best to just trim the entire head if you are just trimming, but it has to be at least one index finger. 1/3 of your index finger.
When you're doing the tamattu, you have umrah first, better just to trim it because you have to shave
Yeah, that's in a practical sense. That's usually recommended. I do the same. But if someone wants to shave for their first umrah and then shave again for tawaf, for your hajj, it's fine. Shaving actually is very easy. In no time you're done. And if someone wants to shave, then they shave the entire head. If someone doesn't have hair, they still shave. Even if a few hair comes in a blade, that's fine. But even to resemble shaving, even if very few hair on the head, that will be also sufficient, inshallah. Someone who's in ihram, this question always comes, especially for sisters, because usually they go to their room, they trim each other's hair, because you just take as much as you can in your hand and you trim off that amount, and it's okay. For a person who's already in a state of ihram and still hasn't come out, you can do for another person. So if 3-4 sisters together, they're all in ihram, and now they want to come out as the state of ihram, one of them can take the scissors and do all the 3, and one of them does the 4th. So it's totally fine. Okay. Hajj. MashaAllah. So, what's after sa'i and after trimming? Is there anything? Your umrah is complete. Okay? So again, the summary of your umrah, there are two what? Obligatory or mandatory, whatever we want to, and then 2 necessary. Wajib, very good. 2 necessary. So 4 acts that are important that you have to complete those 4, otherwise your hajj will be unaccepted or incomplete. So ihram, intention, and saying the talbiyah, doing your tawaf 7 times around the Kaaba, and then praying 2 rakats after that, which is part of your tawaf, and then your sa'i, and then trimming the hair. Done. So you want to know all these steps and know them, properly, just in case, because over there it's the traffic it builds up pretty fast. If you are separated from your group and you were relying on your group leader that is going to take you through the whole umrah, and now you're stranded by yourself, now you don't know what to do. So you have to know how to do your umrah, even if you have to do it by yourself. So learn it and memorize the important things, that as if you were going to do it by yourself. Same thing for hajj, right? What is the reward of hajj, right? The Prophet ﷺ said that the most important thing is, the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is believing and then striving in the path of Allah. And then the third is hajj mabrur, accepted hajj. Accepted hajj. There is no other alternative for a reward than the reward of Jannah and getting the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing better than that. And why? Because the patience that a person has on anything, Allah promises Jannah. And that's why patience is a big aspect of your Hajj training, is how much patience do you have. So when you are patient in your Hajj, Allah is going to reward Jannah. So just like anyone who's patient on any difficulty, any tribulation, their reward is what? إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Allah rewards the people of patience without any limitation. Now, a person who goes and does Hajj for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, man hajja lillahi. You're doing Hajj for the sake of Allah, right? And right? And that person does not commit any obscenity or wrongdoing. And that person does everything according to the best of his ability. He returns back as if the day he was born. It's very interesting that when there's a newborn, what do you do with a newborn? What is the first things you do with a newborn? Adhan, iqama, and what else? You cry? Yeah, mashallah. The baby cries, but what do you do as a parent or as a guardian? Adhan, mashallah. What is something similar to what we do in Hajj or Umrah? No. That's too early. You shave the head. A newborn, you shave the head. And that's why after Hajj, you are a newborn, shave your head. It's amazing. SubhanAllah. And that's why رَجَعَ كَيَوْمِ وَلَدَتْ أُمُّهُ. He comes back as if the day that he was given birth by his mom or her mom. The Hajj overview. I want to just go over the overview because in Hajj, it's 2 days or a day and a half, the main rituals, but it extends over 3 to 5 days. So I won't go into all the details because that will be something that you will be with your group leader, but I will go over all the necessary parts because then we want to give some time for Q&A inshallah, and then we'll have a Q&A for the sisters. So the ihram for Hajj, so that's the procedure for, so there are actually 2 types of Hajj that you will do, you are able to do. One is qiran, tamattu'. 99% of the people do tamattu'. What is tamattu'? That you made the intention just like we did. Oh Allah, I intend to do umrah except for me, make it easy for me. You did your umrah, you came out of your ihram, everything done. You finished that. And now on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is when you're going to say, oh Allah, I intend to do Hajj for myself or for someone else if you're doing badal. Oh Allah, accept for me and make it easy for me. And then you start a new ihram for Hajj. That's tamattu'. Most people do that, right? Even people who come the day before Hajj, they also do tamattu'. Qiran is also very interesting, that you intend both your umrah and Hajj in one ihram. So when you make the intention, you say, oh Allah, I intend to make my umrah muqtarinan ila Hajj, or say I intend to do my umrah and Hajj as Hajj Qiran. Oh Allah, accept from me, make it easy for me. Or you can just make the intention, oh Allah, I'm intending to do Hajj Qiran. And then what do? You do everything that we mentioned about Umrah, except for the last part. You're going to stay in Ihram. You're not going to trim or shave. You're going to stay in Ihram, and on the 8th you will continue with the rest of the people to Mina. If your package is taking you on the 8th to Mina. Some people avoid Mina and just go to Arafat because it's not an integral part. It's not necessary for Hajj. It's sunnah. It's important. It's important. But for whatever reason, if your package does not include Mina for the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, you stay with your group. Do whatever your group does and whatever your group leader tells you to do. Yes, you had a question? Yes. Okay. Wuquf in Mina, so that's the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, you pray 5 salahs there. It's sunnah. Sometimes you get there early, sometimes you get there late, but 5 salahs is praying, it's sunnah in Mina on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, starting from Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and the Fajr of 9th of Dhul Hijjah. If you're able to, mashallah, if you're not able to, sometimes in the middle of the night you say, Yallah, let's go. We're going to Arafat. You leave before Fajr. That's fine. Yeah, we'll come to that. The dhabiha. So there's 2 dhabihas for Qiran and 1 for Tamattu. Wuquf Arafah, that's fard. That's the most important part of your Hajj. Wuquf Arafah, it means that you are in Arafat before sunset. Anytime after Zawal, after the Dhuhr time enters. So you should be in Arafat before sunset. If you're unable to be there at Dhuhr time, fine. As long as you're there before sunset. However, if someone wasn't able to even get there before sunset, which is almost impossible, just because the way how the dynamics are, because the traffic, it starts one way from the other way from Arafat right after sunset. So there's no way you can get into Arafat unless if there's other routes, by road or by foot. However, if someone couldn't get to Arafat, they can still go to Arafat until the Fajr of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. But then there's a penalty because that's wajib to be there until sunset. So that's why if your group leader or your organization wants everyone to leave your camp where you're staying in Arafat, half hour, an hour before sunset, you will leave. However, you're not going to leave the boundary of Arafat because the walk, if you take in the train, it goes around, it takes about an hour just to get to the train station. So by the time you're in the train station, it's already sunset. So don't worry if you're asked to leave an hour, even 2 hours before sunset. You won't leave Arafat until after sunset. The trains will not board you in before sunset. So they have a system that actually works pretty well. But you have to be in Arafat until sunset. That's a fard, and you miss on that, there's no Hajj. Period. You have to come back the next year. For whatever reason, if you didn't make it to Arafat, you missed out. You come back next year. If you're unable to, then you're not required to. But however, if someone even fainted right on the way to Arafat, and he was unconscious during the whole Arafat and coming back, even for 1 second he entered into Arafat and left, his Arafah is accepted. Just being there is sufficient for your Hajj to be complete, to be accepted. And then you have Wuquf Muzdalifah. Wuquf Muzdalifah is that after sunset, you're heading back to Muzdalifah is right here. So let's say this is Mecca, you're coming all the way to Mina. It doesn't show very well in this chart. But Mina and Muzdalifah are connected to one another. Actually, some of the tents in Mina, they spill over into Muzdalifah itself. So people who come back from Arafat go to Muzdalifah, they just go straight to their camps. Those who have their camps in Muzdalifah. So they just stay there for the night and they're good to go for the next day. They don't have to go anywhere after that. But it's adjacent to Mina. So from Mina, you went all the way to Arafat. And then from Arafat, you came back to Muzdalifah, which is almost connected to Mina. And then you spend the night there in Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah has nothing, no accommodations in terms of structure. It only has bathrooms and showers. In the past 2-3 years, they have what do you call it, closed off for different groups, and then they have nice carpets there, food, etc. But there's no structure there. It's an open plain. It's like camping under the stars. So you are downgraded from being in your hotel in Mecca or wherever you are to Mina, which is still good. It has air conditioning and everything and all the luxury of your regular home, except it's a very tiny, tight place. And then you're downgraded a little more into Arafat, and then Muzdalifah is like no air conditioner, nothing. You're just in the open. And when you lay down, it's like laying down in your grave with ihram on. And like thinking about your departure from this world. Now, there are 2 things that I would like to mention. SubhanAllah. In Arafat, there are 2 things that might happen. Either of them. Sometimes they will ask you to leave midnight. Try not to. The sunnah is to stay until Fajr. For two reasons. That was one of them. It's sunnah to stay until Fajr. And according to some schools, it's actually necessary to wajib to stay until Fajr. It is very convenient to the organizers to just ship everybody back to Mina as early as possible and be done for the next day. And we always have this back and forth. Actually, last year, we had this people like announcing, those who want to go, this will be a good time. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. There's going to be a lot of traffic. It's going to take a longer time. This is the best time to leave. It's easy. It's midnight. It's going to be a very short trip. Let's ignore. Unless if your group is leaving at that time. If your group is leaving, leave with them. It's best to stay with your group because you don't want to be left out on your own and then you don't know where to go. Yes. If you have what? Yes. So there are always exceptions. In Hajj, there's all these different exceptions for people of special needs, people of health conditions. When it even comes to the stoning at the Jamarat, there's all these concessions for them. So they don't have to even be there for the Jamarat. Someone else can do it on their behalf. If they want to leave midnight because there's elderly, and a lot of times that's what they do actually. Midnight, those on wheelchairs and so on and so forth who have trouble walking, they just send them back, and they have sometimes buses that pick them up from that place straight to their camp. Because even for the train, it's very convenient. It takes just a couple minutes. But to get to the train station, back from the train station to your place, to your camp, that takes also a lot of walking and a lot of time. However, patience, but for people, those are the exceptions that applies. Even if someone wasn't able to just for a couple minutes, they went to Muzdalifah and now they have to leave because of health conditions, by all means, no problem. Yeah, we are staying in the night in Muzdalifah. We're talking about Muzdalifah right now. Yeah. So we already left Arafat after sunset, right? And now we headed to Muzdalifah, and now we're staying there for the night. And then the question was, can you leave after midnight, or you have to stay until Fajr of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah? So there are two options. Try to stay until Fajr. But if your group is leaving, or there's the exceptions that we talked about, by all means, you can leave by midnight, after midnight. There are now the 5 daily prayers. If you have already prayed your Fajr in Mina on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah before heading to Arafat, right? That's good. If not, then you pray anywhere where you are, on the train station, at Arafat. We have actually prayed more than once in Arafat Fajr because our train schedule was 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to leave. But most of the time we did Fajr and then left after Fajr, alhamdulillah. Anyhow, you're going to pray Dhuhr and Asr with your group in Arafat. Most places they do together, Jama' and Qasr. There's a khutbah before that, so you pray your Dhuhr and Asr in Arafat, and you will pray your Maghrib and Isha in Muzdalifah together in Isha time. So you will wait. So sometimes, one time they brought us, because I was taking the bus that year, and we were the first ones to be let out. It was like cattle. Like they had the gates closed and open up, and everybody got on the bus. We got to Muzdalifah. It was just after Maghrib. So we had to sit there and wait for Isha. So you have to wait until you enter into Isha time to pray your Maghrib and Isha in Muzdalifah, even if it gets delayed until midnight, even after midnight, even if it goes until before Fajr. So that's the 4 salats of that day, of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. 2 in Arafat, 2 in Muzdalifah, and the next morning, right after Fajr, it is wajib, the overview. It is wajib to do a wuquf. What is wuquf? Is that you paid your Fajr in Muzdalifah, and then you made a short dua, sitting or standing. Standing is best, because that's what wuquf is, standing in Muzdalifah making dua. And it could be 1 minute, it could be 10 minutes, doesn't matter. Even a few seconds, that's good. If you were in Muzdalifah at Fajr time, that would also consider as wuquf Muzdalifah. No, any dua, make it. And then after that, you're going to do Yawm al-Nahr, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah is the busiest day of your Hajj days, because you are going to do your Nahr, right? First is you're going to do your Rami. Rami of just the one at the end, the last one. You cannot miss it. You cannot mistake it also for the first one, because they close off everything. They make sure that people only get to the third one, where you're going to throw 7 pebbles. And then after that, you're going to have your qurbani done. That will be done by the provider. And then the third thing, you do halaq or qasr, the same thing that we talked about in Umrah, trimming. And then if possible, if your package, whatever your organizers, whatever they have identified a particular time for you to go and do your tawaf or ziyarah. This is the next fard of the third fard of your Hajj. So the ihram was your fard, and then wuquf of Arafah was fard, and then this fourth thing that you're doing on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah is a necessary fard, right? Mandatory or requirement. And then you will do sa'i after that, and that's wajib because that's part of your tawaf. And then you would stay in Mina for the next 3 days, 10, 11, 12. And if you want to add the 13th, then you can add the 13th. The Rami of all 3, it will be required on all 3 days. The 10th, which you already have done, the only one. And then the 11 and the 12th. You're going to do all 3. So how many stones do you actually need? 49. But if you are doing the 13th, which is the 4th day, the 4th day of stoning, right? Then you're gonna take 70 pebbles. Yes. Yes. You ask from someone, or you can find wherever you can find. You can do that. It's best to make sure that they're clean and wash them. So in Muzdalifah, that's one of the things you do in Muzdalifah. That when you get to Muzdalifah, you pray your Maghrib and Isha, you have lunch, dinner, and you collect the pebbles, and then you sleep. Yeah, they're all around in Muzdalifah. They have piles of them. You can go and pick. Yeah, they actually bring them and pour them there. There are, granite kind of stones. Don't pick too big and not too small. Medium size of a chickpea. So those are one of the things that you do in Muzdalifah, that you collect 49. If you're doing the 13th, then 70 pebbles. Try to take a few extra just in case. Yes. The tawaf ifada. So, that's a good question. So, there's tawaf ifada. It's also called tawaf al-ziyara. It's also called tawaf al-rukun. It's also called tawaf al-hajj. It has different names. So, the tawaf of hajj it's tawaf al-ifada. Normally you would hear tawaf al-ifada or tawaf al-ziyara. It all means the same thing. So sometimes it gets confused. What are these two? They're all the same. So the Hajj tawaf, you do it anytime on the 10th or the 11th or the 12th. And according to some madhab, you can go until the 13th. And if for women who are in their menstrual cycles and they cannot enter the Masjid Haram, they can delay it even after that. Any other questions? Inshallah, we'll close in a couple of minutes because we're going to pray Dhuhr, and I'm happy to spend a little more time after the Salat al-Dhuhr, inshallah. For the men, I'm happy to spend time with you, and for the sisters, inshallah, we have my wife Salma. She will spend with you for any women particular related questions. Inshallah, you can ask her. Two things before I close. This was gifted last year, and these were a few copies that remain with me. It's a very good book to have with you during your Hajj trip. It has a very good combination of spiritual and the religious dimensions of Hajj. So you can get a copy online PDF, but I have 5 copies. First come, first serve? I don't know. That's a tough one. But you can get a copy online. I'll say 2 for the brothers, and that's keep for this. Oh, there's more. There's more. MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah, our brother bought more. Surprise. Bismillah.
I'm just going to distribute them.
Yeah. Keep that one. So you take that, and these are the extra ones. It's a very good book. Actually, if you didn't get a copy, try to get. You can find this online, inshallah. And last but not least, the last announcement. Inshallah, there is a lunch that will be served, inshallah, at 1:30. Inshallah, 1:30. The lunch will be here. Inshallah, it will be provided, inshallah, to you. And this was a combination co-hosting by ICNE and Dar es-Salaam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless those who helped put this program together, and may Allah reward them. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.